Here are 10 fun facts about the Quake franchise that maybe you don't know. If you learned a fun fact today, please make sure to let me know in the comments below. Number 1. Quake was originally called Timequake because the slipgate would teleport the player to another time and place, and then later it was called Quake, the Fight for Justice. The game was going to be based off of lead developer John Carmack's Dungeons & Dragons campaign. The protagonist, Quake, was the greatest warrior in the land who wielded fantastic items such as the Hammer of the Thunderbolts and a Ring of Regeneration. id Software decided that the technology to bring such a fantastic character to life was just not there yet, so the original plan was scrapped. However, there is a Ring of Invisibility in Quake as well as a mighty hammer in one of the expansion packs. Number 2. Quake originally started as a tech demo, and all the futuristic environments, gothic medieval architecture, and horror-themed enemies did not really have any lore behind them. John Carmack prioritized the engine development over the story, going so far as to have been quoted to say, "Story in a game is like story in a porn movie. It's expected to be there, but it's not that important." This caused the rest of the team to have to scramble to put a game together with no real cohesive design plan, and it led to a rather rocky development of the game. Number 3. Speaking of John Carmack and the engine, he developed a Quake-exclusive programming language for this game. Quake C was an offshoot of the C programming language, specialized specifically for the development of Quake, Quake tools, and mods. Quake C was only used for the first game, however, and later Quake games were developed with standard programming languages. Number 4. Most all Quake fans should know that the soundtrack to the game was created by Nine Inch Nails frontman Trent Reznor. But did you know that the band's logo can be seen in-game on the nailgun ammo crates? Number 5. Quake was ported to Nintendo 64, but it was also supposed to come to Game Boy Advance and Sony's PlayStation as well. The Game Boy Advance version was cancelled for unknown reasons, and while the PlayStation version was finished, it was never released because the developer, Lobotomy Software, failed to find a publisher. Number 6. For the release of the movie Anaconda in 1997, Sony Pictures released a Quake level on their website titled Temple of the Mist. In this level that played mostly underwater, the player made their way through an ancient temple searching for an altar that holds the key to escape. But before escaping, the player had to defeat a very large anaconda boss, thus promoting the movie Anaconda. Number 7. Going back to the medieval and D&D theme, at one point during the development of Quake, the player was going to wield a sword and do melee combat against the knights. There was also going to be a dragon in the game and other fantasy elements like Thor's hammer. Most of this was cut and replaced with Doom-like weapons. However, many of the fantasy-themed enemies remained, and the dragon would return in an expansion pack. And while a Thor-like hammer eventually came to Quake in an expansion pack, the lack of more original design elements was one of the reasons John Romero would eventually leave the team. He would put a Thor-like weapon in Daikatana, leaving many to speculate this idea originated with scrapped Quake content. Number 8. Professional gaming was spawned from Quake, and the first famous female gamer was a Quake player. Cornelia was famous for winning 4 major Quake events and stomping John Romero in a 1v1 22-1, and would eventually form an all-women Quake clan called the Femme Fatales. Number 9. Quake is also the game responsible for spawning speedrunning and machinima. A video titled Quake Done Quick was released in 1997, where the game was completed in 19 minutes and 49 seconds. Players today are still trying to set world records, with a 22-year speedrunning record recently being beaten last year. As for the first ever machinima, Diary of a Camper, created by a group called the Rangers, released on October 26, 1996, showing the world an entirely new way to make gaming videos. Number 10. When id Software tried to use the name Quake, they found that a German company had trademarked every variation of the word. This German company wanted id Software to buy the rights to the name, but the lawyers of id somehow eventually convinced the German company to give, instead of sell, the word to them. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to like this video and leave me a comment if you learned a fun fact today. If you know any fun facts about Quake, or honestly just games in general, please share them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm SaltyOctopus, and I will see you next time.